Hey everyone, just want to encourage you to find us on your listening platform and give us a rating. Anywhere you listen to that has a rating system, go on over and give us a rating and maybe leave us a review. Let us know your thoughts. These ratings really do help. Thank you so much for listening. On to this week's episode. Welcome, foolish mortals, to the second episode of this podcast where we cover a Haunted Mansion property. Did you ever think we would be revisiting the Haunted Mansion?
I genuinely did not expect to be covering Haunted Mansion again. Like, what a curveball thrown at us by Disney.
Absolutely. We covered this about 2 years ago in October when they did a Muppet Haunted Mansion kind of 1 hour special on Disney Plus, because we figured they would never do it again. Yet Disney's in love with this ride and just wants to constantly make properties out of it, I guess.
Yeah, Disney's really trying to make fetch happen with the Haunted Mansion.
Seriously. And like, it's not going to happen.
It's not. It's no Pirates of the Caribbean.
No. And that's it.
That's it. I mean, I saw a list that, like, the Haunted Mansion, the new one, is, like, the lowest grossing ride-based movie for Disney.
Oh, boy.
But, like, how many are there? Is it just Haunted Mansion and this one?
No, Jungle Cruise is also based on the ride.
Oh, I forgot about Jungle Cruise.
Yeah.
Damn. This one performed less than the Jungle Cruise.
I know. Wild. But it just came out, so.
That was during the pandemic.
That was. But this is during, like, the week after Barbie, so kind of bad timing on Disney's part.
There were a lot of people still wearing pink, ready to watch Barbie at my theater.
Oh, yeah, no, not everyone got to Barbenheimer, so people are still, like, they're getting out there. So, note to listener, if you kind of want to deep dive into the previous Haunted Mansion properties, listen to that episode, because today we're just going to be focusing on this new 2023 Haunted Mansion film. So, guys, let's get right into it. I'm Nicole.
And I'm Rolando.
And I'm Eddie Z.
And this is Remakes, Reboots, and Revivals.
An original podcast
about unoriginality.
Well, last week was Barbie, a really epic episode, one that I really enjoyed. And like we said, Barbenheimer, or just Barbie in general, is still a thing. I still have not yet seen Oppenheimer.
You still haven't seen Oppenheimer. Do you plan to?
I do, but, you know, we'll see when I'm in the mood for it.
Circumstances have changed for you, so, like, maybe.
They have, yeah. I don't...
Yeah.
Not quite in the mood, I guess, for it. But I ran to see the Haunted Mansion because I was like, you know what? This has the potential to be cute, and I kind of want that right now. So
yeah, it did have the potential to be cute. But before we went to see the Haunted Mansion, though, we actually got a chance to see a different scary movie.
Did you see Talk to Me?
We did. We got to see Talk to Me.
How was it?
I liked it a lot.
I heard it's great.
I will recommend it. People have been touting it as like best horror movie of the year. I haven't seen enough horror movies this year to like make that, I guess, distinction. But it is for sure one of my favorite ones I've seen. It might be one of my favorite movies I've seen so far this year.
Better than Evil Dead Rise, because you really enjoyed that.
I think this was a better film than Evil Dead Rise. And that's not to say that Evil Dead Rise is a lot more fun. I feel like the dread you feel during Talk to Me is much more intense.
Ooh.
It's a different kind of dread.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's
actually... not a fun horror movie. It's kind of like a...
No, it's more like a horrific... It's not even like a gruesome horror movie. Like, there's some gruesome parts, but like for the most part, it truly is like kind of your edge on your seat. Like what is happening to these poor stupid kids? That's really what it is about.
Okay.
Stupid kids.
Okay. All right.
Truly.
Hey, who doesn't love a good horror movie about stupid kids?
Although, full disclosure, everyone, like, warning, it is an Australian film, so be ready for accents. If that's not your thing, you might not want to, because I think Eddie was a little taken aback. He's the one who recommended the movie, and we were looking for something to do, so.
No, I mean, I absolutely want to see that movie, so I'm glad to hear you guys are recommending it.
Yeah. And you know what else we recommend?
What?
You coming out on August 16th to our trivia night at Corgi, because Nicole and I are hosting a trivia night, part of the Jersey City Pride festivities. I think not officially, but Hudson Pride Center is going to be joining us, and they will be giving out free confidential rapid HIV tests, and you'll get a $15 for taking the test. So, you know your status.
You get to meet us.
A $15 gift card. And you get to meet us, play some trivia.
Play some trivia, drink some wonderful drinks. We will recommend some. And it's totally free.
Totally free. So I'm going to have the link in our show notes so you can get your free tickets from Eventbrite. So that way Corgi knows how many people to staff. And yeah, we hope to see you there.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that was a nice segue, Rolando. Good job on that.
Thank you.
And kudos to the artwork that you will be seeing on our social media. All Rolando. He truly is the talent behind the artwork.
Yes, thank you. Wish I could take full credit, but it was mostly just prompting AI to create those wonderfully adorable graphics. They were so cute, though. Like, I told AI to create like a very gay, flamboyant corgi for me because the name of the bar is Corgi. So it delivered.
Wow.
It delivered.
Yeah. It's one thing AI always does is understands the assignment.
It does.
So before we get into it, I have some news. You guys usually share some news.
Oh.
But I read something recently. Back in April, Paramount Plus actually, we've been talking a lot about how Paramount Plus has really been trying to take their most significant properties, Grease, Fatal Attraction, and kind of like bring them back and get a lot of traction to their platform. Well, recently they announced, I think back in April, that Galaxy Quest was going to get revived.
Oh, I think I remember seeing or hearing about that.
Well, it was just announced, at least on my radar, that Sigourney Weaver will be coming back for this Galaxy Quest. So maybe everybody else will follow.
Yeah, the murmurings that I had heard was that it was going to... They don't know what it was, but they're working on something related to Galaxy Quest. I was afraid it was going to be a straight-on remake, and I'm like, why would you remake that wonderful piece of sci-fi comedy?
Yeah.
It's so good. So a revival might be bittersweet without Alan Rickman.
Absolutely. And I mean, is it just going to be a sequel? Is it going to be a TV series? And then it's like the next generation?
I don't need a TV series. I don't even know if I need a sequel, to be quite honest.
Well,
I think that movie was so well wrapped up.
Paramount's just going down the list. Okay, Grease didn't work. Fatal Attraction didn't work. What's it going to work now? Galaxy Quest is a cult, right? So,
Eddie, would you watch a Galaxy Quest TV show?
Yes.
Really?
If Sigourney Weaver's in it?
I mean, yeah. I don't know. I'd rather see Sigourney Weaver back in an Alien franchise film.
Really?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, Alien
I want to
6?
see... Yes, I want to see like Sigourney Weaver, old, but just like still kicking ass.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Ellen Ripley on her last leg. Like literally, maybe just has one leg and still kicking ass.
Although I know that they were working, I think it's on halt because of the strike, but they were working on the Alien like legacy sequel, I think it's going to be.
Okay.
And a lot of the murmurings online is that it's basically going to be based off of the game, which takes place immediately after Aliens.
Okay.
So it takes place after Alien, and it takes place between Alien and Aliens. It's Ellen Ripley's daughter traveling to find out what happened to her mother and encountering the alien from Nosferatu, the ship.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So this is people have their suspicions that this is what the movie is going to be, which is exciting because I've seen Eddie play the game, and it is kind of a scary game. So
Ooh, we all love that. And now they're actually acing adaptations of video games into movies and TV shows. Yeah. Do you guys think that we'll have anything to cover next year because the writer's strike has lasted so long?
That's a good. You know what? It might be a rough year for us next year because I know that the Screen Actors Guild are proceeding with filming, but like small indie projects, like for studios like A24, because those smaller studios have agreed to the terms of the demands of the Screen Actors Guild. So those small studios don't have the big IP.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do a bunch of like older stuff.
yeah, basically.
Yeah. So if you have any requests of things that we haven't covered that maybe we might need to do next year, send us an email. Contact us. But
yeah.
All right, so let's get into this week's episode with Haunted Mansion, directed by Justin Simons, who is known for his properties Dear White People. Have you seen Dear White People?
the TV show. I haven't seen the film.
I have not seen the film either, and I saw a little bit of the TV show, so I am a little bit unfamiliar with him. But he did not.
You never saw Bad Hair?
No, I haven't. So
I've seen parts of Bad Hair.
You have?
The reason I say parts is because like I didn't like it as much as I wanted to like it. I wasn't liking it as much as I wanted to like it. I mean, it's a horror movie about a black woman's weave. Like, come on.
It's a great concept. Yeah.
Like yeah, truly great concept. But just squandered.
Yeah, it sucks when there's a great concept, not the best execution, and I totally understand that.
You know what? Sometimes I'm okay with that because it's like, okay, cool, you tried, but you gave me something different.
Well, so the big name, though, that I was excited for on this is actually the writer, who is Kate Tebold. She was a writer on Parks and Rec, but she wrote The Heat, the Sandra Bullock, Melissa McCarthy film, and then the Ghostbusters reboot, which, we're kind of, to say we're champions of it is a stretch, but we think is not as bad as everyone else says it is.
Yeah. I'll die on that hill. I will say it's just like, and the hate that it got was unwarranted.
Absolutely unwarranted.
Because there were way shittier movies that year than Ghostbusters.
Yeah, period.
Yeah. So
we got two kind of really strong comedic perspectives taking this film over, and also like one is a woman, one is a person of color, and they're being thrown into the Disney world with trying to make a successful version of this Haunted Mansion property that they have. And if you don't know, the Haunted Mansion's a ride that was invented by Walt Disney in the Port Orleans Square of Disney World in Disneyland.
Yeah, I think it came out in Disneyland first, and then it came to also Disney World.
And it's one of their most iconic rides. It's been, running since the 50s or 60s. It's in every single park, a version of it. People love it. And it's very, grim, grinning ghosts, spooky. Like, people, like, it's just got a huge fan base.
I am not one of those fan base
yes,
folk.
I remember this on the last episode.
I will always ride it when I'm in Disney, but God, that line is so long and it's unwarranted for that ride, in my opinion. Everyone goes on it because it's so iconic and so classic, but it is not a good ride. Eddie, what is your opinion on the Haunted? Because Eddie got to ride it with me. Eddie, you have an opinion on Haunted Mansion, the ride?
I just think it's just like something you do.
Yeah.
But it's not my favorite.
Yeah.
And I know the last time we rode it was for the kids.
We did. And the kids got scared, and I was just like, I remember saying, it's just like, why are you scared? This is like the corniest ride, kids. You're ruining my trip. No, I love them.
I mean,
I understand.
You're like, back to the orphanage.
I do understand why it is so beloved, because like it is a very family-friendly ride, and I think I'd be lying if I said the effects don't still hold up, because I do think some of the effects do still hold up for that ride.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those great, like, we need a break rides. If it's not a long line and you just are able to get on, take that break from the long lines, from the heat, from the exhaustion.
From the heat, for sure. Because
like,
I think the queue is mostly indoor.
Yeah. So it's one of those, like, we just get to sit and relax kind of moments. But I mean, I love it. I love the cheesiness. I love the vibes of it. I think it nails down the spookiness. I remember being a kid being on it and being somewhat scared by it. And it's very memorable out of all the rides. Like, you kind of can't get some of those images out of your head. And it's become so iconic that Disney's like, yeah, we have to continue to make properties on these, because our hardcore Disney fans and Disney adults, they'll buy the ornaments, they'll buy the t-shirts, they'll go see these movies, right?
Yeah.
That's the thought
Disney
process.
Adults.
Yeah. Well, like we said, last week came out Barbenheimer, and the week after they decided to release Haunted Mansion in July, nonetheless. Do you think had they released this in October, this would maybe have been better received?
I actually do think it probably would have been better received. Like,
I do too.
Closer to October, because look, here's my very, very quick take on this. I thought this actual movie was actually charming.
Same.
I liked this one a lot more than I thought it was going to.
Same.
And I actually do think this would have been much more successful, not in a summer release, but with a more of a closer to Halloween. Like, even a September release would have been appropriate.
I completely agree with everything you just said. I did not have much expectations for this. I was very pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed it, but I was also kind of devastated because, like, Hocus Pocus was a flop when it came out, and we talked about this, and that's because they released it in the summer. I don't know why Disney is kind of poo-pooing its own properties by releasing them, and like it's almost like no faith. You put all this
Hocus
money
Pocus
into
already
it.
Disney?
Yeah,
then?
that was a Disney.
It was always Disney?
It was
Okay.
always Disney. So it's like you put all this money into it. Like, let me tell you right now, this movie had $150 million budget, and so far it's only got $35 million from opening weekend.
No, that is a big budget.
That's
I don't know
a
where
big
that
budget. Yeah,
I don't know where that budget went because some CGI, but it wasn't like heavily. It wasn't so CGI. At least the CGI wasn't so shitty. It was jarring in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean there were a lot of ghosts, but
There were obviously there were things that CGI'd, but like it wasn't a CGI fest.
Yeah.
I feel like the 2003 one was way more CGI heavy.
Yeah, well, because they also did more literal ride components, like the singing heads on and whatnot. This one kind of made its own story more that was freer of the ride in a lot of ways.
You would see the references to the ride, but it wasn't like I'd be lying. It wasn't in your face sometimes.
Yeah,
like the
it
ghosts
was. Yeah,
who whenever they hitchhike,
Yeah. Well, so the Eddie Murphy film was about a real estate agent father, who, he's so caught up in his work that he kind of gets duped into going to this haunted mansion, and he brings his family there because he's so desperate for a cell because he's work. But then when he gets there, there's a ghost who's trying to trap his wife into becoming one of his ghost brides, I guess.
Right, because she looks like the deceased lover that had committed suicide. Years ago. He was Gracie. Lord Gracie, the owner of the mansion.
So. Now,
it's like Gracie
are we positive
mansion.
that they have the same name, Gracie?
Yeah.
Okay.
The names were, because I'm pretty sure Gracie is one of the names that you see like as you're walking through the cemetery to get into the ride. Like you see all these names and stuff. So a lot of these names will show up from the ride.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, and he puts his family's life in danger, and it's kind of the whole story arc is that he needs to learn how to be more present for his family and put work behind him and whatnot. But via comedy.
Also, retrospect, almost similar plot to Dr. Dolittle.
They were
also
just like
an Eddie Murphy film.
And also kind of Disney, I think. So they were like,
wasn't Dr. Dolittle 20th century? It's now Disney, I think, but I think it was
now,
Fox.
Yeah, true. There you go. They were just like, it's a winning formula, let's just put ghosts in it. And
instead of animals, yeah.
Yeah.
And Raven Simone, she did the lead single, which was a cover of Superstitious.
Which also played in this movie. So Superstitious is just the song.
Superstitious was in this one?
Yeah, very briefly, actually. It was like a montage moment. You heard it in the background.
I didn't hear it, but okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, but this story is completely different. Completely new.
It is.
Do you want to kind of sum it up, Orlando? Maybe?
Yes. So, the story focuses around Ben, who is an astrophysicist. He is kind of down on his luck, and a priest shows up at his door and says, "Hey, I got a job for you. You built a camera that could take pictures of ghosts. Can you go to this mansion and take pictures of ghosts for proof for us? And the lady will pay you $2,000. He's just like, hell yeah. So he goes, and before he enters the house, Rosario Dawson warns him, is like, just make sure that you want to enter, because once you enter, like, I can't promise whatever happens. But he's just like, yo, give me that money, girl. So he walks in and he fakes taking photos of the ghosts because he thinks that this mother and child are like kind of just crazy nuts banana town. Right? Who would it? Like the way they edited that sequence is just like really makes them seem like just loonies. And when he gets home, he discovers that a ghost has latched onto him and is now haunting him, kind of beckoning him to return to the manor. And once he returns to the manor, he discovers that anyone who has entered the house is kind of doomed to be stuck in the house because there's a malevolent being collecting 1,000 souls for nefarious reasons. I think it's to come back to life.
Yeah, spirits latch onto them when they enter. So
yeah, and so basically Ben and this family are trying to break the curse. And that is like a very, very dumbed down synopsis of the film.
No, that was a good job. But this film already handles the task of creating a story for Haunted Mansion better than its predecessor.
I would agree, yeah.
Yeah. Because what they do is that you begin the film with Ben meeting a woman who you instantly know he's going to fall in love with. On New Year's Eve, by the way. Which also, why is he with his coworkers on New Year's Eve? like, I guess maybe he just loves his but the way he looked at them, I was like, is that like his family friends?
I think, sometimes when you are so like devoted to your work, I think those become like your friend, and they're supposed to be like nerds, right? So like that's probably who they just like kind of latch on to each other.
Okay.
I actually had never considered going to New Orleans for New Year's Eve, but it does sound pretty fabulous.
I'm sure it would
right?
be very fun. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've never been, but I'm sure it would be fun. So they meet, and you just feel the chemistry. They're hitting it off, and then cuts to present reality where she's no longer with him, and he is suffering a very deep depression. And so we already have that this main character has a relationship with the dead. That he is grieving, he has lost someone, and it is impacting his life. So his interaction with ghosts is already going to mean something, because he also has to kind of come to terms with a death in his own life and with letting go.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, in the first act, he was a staunch non-believer of ghosts. And the reason he became a non-believer is because he tried really hard to find his deceased wife ghost. And we don't find out that she's officially deceased until later on in the film. But like it's hinted at early.
Yeah, I mean, with that
no
kind of
longer in the
depression,
picture.
I was like, oh, she's dead.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and he like gave up everything to become a tour guide. Kind of like what she was, but like even less than, because he's not really doing the haunted tour guides. He's just doing tour guides. And he's a shell of himself, you know, so he's no longer the same person who met her, who was so vivacious and so passionate and all this stuff. Now, this is played by an actor called Lakeith Stanfield, who has a really interesting voice. I love his voice.
I think he's so hot.
Yeah.
He was so attractive in this role. I don't know what it was either. Like, because I've seen him in Sorry to Bother You. Did it, you fine in that movie. I like that movie a lot, but I never thought of him as being hot. There's something about him in this role that I found very attractive.
Yeah, his character could have easily become kind of like annoying, to the fact where he was just constantly the non-believer and constantly like being sarcastic and almost like dismissing people. But I never quite felt that way with him because of the way that he played it. He was able to give it this humanity and this grief, right?
Yeah,
like, there's
the
a
grief
moment,
specifically.
The
yeah,
grief
like
specifically.
I think every time that he had to play like the grieving widower, he played it very, very. I don't know. It was almost like a very poignant performance, like very, very touching.
Yeah, no.
Like I felt for him.
When the medium later in the film, one of my favorite characters, by the way, was like, "Oh, you're the grief that I sensed," and then it like almost cuts to him. Anytime that story got expanded on, like it worked for me. I believed it.
Yeah. No, he's a wonderful, wonderful actor. I liked him a lot in this role.
So the mother and the daughter that are in the Haunted Mansion are played by Rosario Dawson. And what is the child's name? Let's see.
It's a son.
Chase W. Dillon.
It's not a daughter. It's a son.
It's a son.
Oh, I'm
You
so
said
sorry.
daughter.
I said daughter. My apologies.
It's Chase W. Dillon.
So it's Gabby and Travis. And the father is absent. Later on in the film, we're led to believe that the father is alive and he's just a distant father. But spoiler alert, and also I had somebody reach out to me recently and complain that we did not provide enough spoilers for The Flash. I apologize, dear listener. Here is your spoiler warning.
We didn't provide spoiler warnings? Oh, we should have.
I guess we should have. I feel like we normally do. Here is your spoiler warning for Haunted Mansion if you want to see it.
I think it should be a given by now.
I know, that's what I said, but I was like, you're right. I'm sorry.
That's funny.
Anyway, spoiler alert, the father is actually dead. And
So,
Travis,
I have a question. Yeah. Did you expect that? Like, was that a shock for you? It wasn't for me. Eddie says he saw it coming, but I was kind of like enthralled in the story where I missed it. And when it was revealed that he was the other grieving soul in the house, I was just like, oh my God, like, what's going to happen now?
Yeah.
I was kind of like suddenly like found myself in the edge of my seat.
I wasn't completely shocked, but I was like, oh, I see where they're going with this. Like, I was halfway in between that. But I also just thought that the way that everything kind of unraveled was very effective. Although my overall complaint is that the movie was a little too long. That's it.
Oh,
Could have
I
been a
thought
little
it was-
shorter.
Okay.
It just could have been a little shorter. It was like 2
maybe
hours.
like minutes shorter. I don't know. I enjoyed it, but go on.
So, Rosario Dawson plays Gabby, and she's wonderful.
She's
great.
great. I mean, there was very early in her like performance, I think what I realized I was gonna like her was the first scenes we have is her interacting with Travis, and Travis sees the ghost and he's like freaking out, and like immediately they make Gabby like, you're just being silly, but like immediately you see her shock, like her face like go from like being a non-believer to like, get out, we had to go, we gotta get the fuck out of here. Just like,
exactly.
which I found again charming. It was very, very, I don't know. It felt like a very realized performance.
Absolutely. And the only thing I will say is, out of every character, hers was probably the least developed. But she's such a good actress that at least she wasn't really playing anything major. She was just kind of doing her Rosario Dawson best. But she does it so fucking well, you know?
She does. My one complaint about the character was that wig she was wearing or that hairpiece. I was not feeling it. It was just not. I don't know if it was like the wrong hairdo for Rosario. I don't know if they were trying to make her seem more matronly. It's just like, you don't have, like, you know, she could still have like nice hair.
I know, but it's that because like it's weird because it's like in the end of the movie she has like her beautiful hair.
Yeah,
you know, and all her curls and stuff like that. And I guess I guess because since we didn't get enough character development for her, that the hair transformation really didn't mean anything besides her looking really good.
Yeah,
to me.
Yeah, good point.
Like she could have been with that hair, and it would have been, the whole thing would just been great. I just think it just felt like sometimes I would ask myself, what year is this?
Yeah. Especially
what
with that.
Year is this? Because it's just like between hairs and people's clothing, which had a very retro vintage look, and then I'm like, wait a minute, what year is this? And and then you would see the other the supporting actors, the extras in the background, and everybody dresses contemporary, but it was like,
except for Tiffany Haddish as a medium.
Yeah, but I think that's a look too.
That was her look.
That was the look.
Absolutely, yeah.
It was almost like a Santera version look that she had going on for her.
But let's not forget the look of the whole movie.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Oh, yeah, her outfit. Yeah,
that was...
Yeah.
And that was the outfit of all outfits.
Seriously. I think it's going to get nominated for Best Costume Design at the Oscars just for that.
That was a very, very interesting, like, it was something I was just like, that is a weird costume, but she's rocking it, like no problem. And I'm like, oh, that seems like a cool Halloween costume, to be quite honest.
Yes.
Like, you know?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah. I actually thought, at some point, I did think that, like, it was going to be revealed that, like, they were all ghosts except for Ben.
Okay.
Like, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, hence the old kind of hairdo, hence, like, the medium who seems a little bit, like, out of date. And even Danny DeVito's character, right? Like, he was, like, kind of, like, dressed like, not a contemporary person.
They're all just really quirky people.
They really all were. But let me tell you, the chemistry the cast had also really worked in this film.
It did. They were kind of like their own, band of misfits, and they were kind of adorable. So to complete this little band of misfits is the priest / exorcist, Father Kent, who's the one who prompts Ben to come and bring his special camera that he created for his wife, and to kind of like prove the existence of ghosts and also to be a hero. And this is played by Owen Wilson, who, we haven't seen too much in the past years, but he's coming back to movies. And when he did the J-Lo movie, I was like, J-Lo and Jennifer, and Owen Wilson falling in love, I don't buy it. I was just like, that's not the return for Owen Wilson.
That's the one with Maluma, right?
I think, yes, it was.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. This
was a very fitting role for Owen Wilson, and I think he actually did great. I'm not always the biggest fan of the Owen Wilson-ness, but
yeah, me neither. But he won me over beginning with Loki, so that's kind of when I was like, okay, I dig Owen Wilson now, and this movie kind of just solidified that. I loved specifically how costumey his costume was.
Yeah.
Which ultimately feeds to that great reveal at the end.
Yeah.
His character, spoiler, he's not a priest. He just works at a costume shop. He just makes money pretending to be a priest, which is so sacrilegious.
Seriously, and also kind of smart. Then they were like, okay, so we have an exorcist. We have this photographer who's taking picture of the ghosts. Now we need a medium in order to contact them, and so that's when they try and find that's when they find Harriet, who is played by Tiffany Haddish. And I think the moments that I laughed the most were all because of her.
Oh, but she's such a great comedian actress.
Yeah, all of her moments just really worked for me. But even like her backstory or like her kind of her whole arc also worked for me. Like I thought she was pretty well fleshed out.
Yeah,
and like because her whole thing is that she belongs to a family of mediums, you know, and she doesn't really believe in herself, or like people don't believe that she has the power, but she does.
Yeah. That reminds. So I mean, when she's talking about her sisters, like. That's probably one of the funniest like moments of the film. Yeah. Just proves like her just delivery. No, my favorite moment of hers was when she found out that she's stuck in the house and how she's just flipping out on Rosario, on everybody. You know what I mean?
2 hours
she's
later.
So good. She's so funny. Like she was great in this film.
Yeah.
I didn't think, to be quite honest, like when we picked to do this movie, I was like. I was picked it because I thought it would be half-assed and just complain about this film all day, and here I am, kind of gushing. I'm like, oh, this was like a really shockingly fun movie.
Same. I really didn't think. I mean, I saw it on a Tuesday. I saw it Tuesday morning at 10:40 with the worst behaved people I've had in a movie theater in a while. Let me tell you. First of all, I bought my tickets
10:40?
at 10:40. I bought my tickets a week ago. So the people that sat next to me,
a week ago, jeez.
I know, chose to sit next to me. And these people made themselves at fucking home. Like, I had to step over their book bag and everything on the floor. There was popcorn all over the floor. They were talking loudly and on their phone constantly.
Wow.
And then the people above us were just nonstop talking. They were children. They were like 8 to maybe 12 years old. And they were just saying so many things, but they clearly didn't understand a lot of, like, you know, the adult tones in the movie. So, you know, when there was like flirting happening between Ben and Gabby, they were like gross, or like just, you know, like they just weren't getting certain things. And it was just kept taking me out of it. And I was like, somebody please tell these children to shut up. There has to be an adult present. It's 10:40. It was just so annoying.
That's awful.
Anyway.
I'm sorry.
But despite all of that, I was able to enjoy it. And then the last little member of this gang is a local historian, professor, played by Danny DeVito, who, you know, provides them all the historical things that they need to know about the house. So everyone has this sort of purpose in order for them to defeat it. Also, there is Madame Leota. Madame Leota is one of the most iconic moments of the ride. She is in the original film, played by Jennifer Tillian. This one, she's played by Jamie Lee Curtis, and she's the backstory. So she was hired by William Gracie of Gracie Manor because his deceased died. Do we remember her name? Eleanor. So
you got it, Eleanor.
Eleanor, he misses his dead wife so much that he hired her to perform a seance to bring her back to him every night for like a full year. So that's why there's so many ghosts.
When Harriet was just like, that's not right. And she's just, Jamie Lee is like, what?
Who's that? Who said
that? Yeah.
Okay, it was just like, it just shows the chemistry. Like the chemistry actually was here, so I think well executed in this film.
Yeah, no, it was.
What a shocker! Because when I saw the cast lineup, that was my initial complaint. I was just like, God, this is a hodgepodge of people that we have put together for this film. But
it worked. It worked, yeah. And what had happened was that by doing a seance every day for a full year, eventually an evil entity came through, which is the Hatbox Ghost, played by Jared Leto, which I think when I saw the trailer for this in a theater and we all saw that it was Jared Leto, we all were like, ugh. Because, you know, nobody really likes Jared Leto.
Yeah, Mackenzie also mentioned that last week.
Yes,
it's just like her theater also made an audible groan. For such a presence, Jared Leto, the smartest thing they did was not actually physically have him in the
showing
movie.
Him, yeah. You would not really be able to tell that was Jared Leto.
Yeah, like between his voice performance, because he was playing the voice that you hear on the ride, right? Like the there's 999 ghosts stuck in this house. There's always room for the one that like plays in your machine as like you're riding the ride, right? That was like what he was trying to do.
So that's
what it sounded like.
Maybe he's not really like the Hatbox isn't like Ghost isn't the narrator of the ride that you hear in the machine. He's just one of the ones that I think he's in the attic along with the bride. Where he's just like holding up a thing and he's like looking. He's just very iconic. Like he's one of the ones that everybody remembers in the ride.
Yeah.
So
I don't remember him in the ride. to be quite honest.
I remember him.
But I remember the lines that he recited, because some of the lines that he recited are the lines directly from the ride.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the spell to kind of reverse everything is lines from Grim Grinning Ghosts. So yeah. So they're all stuck at the manor, and they found out that the Hatbox Ghost was actually used to be Alistair Crump, who is a murderer and an evil man in his life. And he's kind of like, one of my favorite lines is like, oh, ghosts can be killed? That's not fair, by Owen Wilson. Where it's just like, even in the afterlife, you could be murdered as a ghost. Like, that's ridiculous. And so here is our kind of, not our inciting incident so much, but like, this is the task. This is the quest, which is we have to defeat Crump. And he cannot get that one last soul to make it 1,000. And now what would happen with the 1,000? He would be like,
I think he gets reincarnated.
No, he would have the power to leave because he's also trapped in the house.
Oh, he would leave
So
the house and just haunt wherever. Haunt the world. Okay, I guess I could see why he'd be like a dangerous figure to have out in the open.
Absolutely. Now, one section that didn't work as well as I wanted it to was when they went to Crump Manor, and lo and behold, we get a cameo from Winona Ryder.
Winona Ryder, who uncredited in the film.
Uncredited, yeah. I was like, wow.
I whispered to Eddie, like, is that Winona? They didn't announce her in the trailer. Like, why?
I know, that was like the big secret, and yet, her part wasn't that funny, and it was really short.
Oh, I don't know. Seeing her getting annoyed at the black guys was kind of funny, to be quite honest. Like,
oh, okay, yeah, maybe
that was a comedy.
I don't know, but and then Daniel Levi's there, and he's going to do like a murder mystery thing. I also was like, this isn't as funny as I want it to be.
Oh, I disagree with you. I thought that was funny. I wanted more.
I wanted more too.
That's what I wanted. I wanted more of this.
I felt like a lot was edited of this.
To be quite honest, they could have cut out Winona Ryder and given me like Dan Levy as the tour guide and stuff, because he was like, so he's like an actor playing like, doing like this like kind of like murder mystery interpretation of like tour guide and stuff. It was so wacky. I loved it, and I was just like, oh, what? Like, this should have been like a longer scene, in my opinion.
I think it was, and I think they cut it down.
They cut it for time. They might have.
Yeah.
It's a shame. It's a shame to see what could have been.
It could have been long. I didn't have enough time to marinate as a scene, so I was like, I wanted to like it, but I'm not like laughing here. So, so they go there also specifically to get the hat, because a typical whenever you're performing magic is that you actually have to have an article or an item that belongs to this person in order to effectively put either reverse a curse or put a curse on them. So, magic. That's pretty much the most of like the plot of the film, and then they're able to reverse it. Now the parts where Ben is kind of like putting himself out there and he's sharing his grief and whatnot, especially with his wife and his whole arc, I thought that was one of the most effective moments of the film. Like, even at the end, right before, we think maybe he will sacrifice himself to Alistair Crump in order to save these people, because he's grown quite attached to Travis in particular and Gabby. It didn't focus as much on the love story between Gabby and Ben.
It really focused more so the father figure and child, which I liked. I actually liked the fact that it wasn't like, the focus wasn't love. It was really like this love between like these two souls who have lost someone very dear to them,
Yeah, absolutely.
Because Travis is also grieving.
Yeah. He sees
Travis
himself in him,
Yeah.
So, him to let go of his love, like where they have that brief little montage and he learns, like, hey, and there's also a beautiful moment where Tiffany Haddish, she draws the two circles and she's like, we're here. And then these two circles overlap and they're on the other side, but in between where they overlap are where the ghosts are. But I want you to know that your wife is over here on the other side and she's in peace. And the fact that she's not here is a good thing. And you need to be okay with that. And that's kind of like both of their struggles, which is why they're both susceptible to Alistair Crump being able to take them, because they have to be willing, is the whole catch.
I think that's what I enjoyed very much of all these particular characters, is that usually when you have something like this, you just get a stereotype of a character. The stereotype medium, the stereotype hero, the stereotype professor, the mother. But you really get to see the shades of these people. She was a medium, but she was also caring.
Yeah.
And she really felt for him, and she shared her own pain with him. And you get to see that too, like, you know, the professor who had a heart condition, who wanted to be part of the action.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You know, you got to see that, and I really felt these characters were definitely not two-dimensional. They definitely were. They were more. I felt like you got opportunities to see them fleshed out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like when Harriet, the medium, shares a story about her father leaving her a message that she was okay.
Yeah,
you know, that comes in
train in the distance.
The train in the distance. She's like,
she calls them
even
like
on
little
my
messages
lowest...
from the afterlife, like or something,
yes.
right?
Yeah, she had like a term for it, and I wish I remembered. But you know, and like that's something
like ghost kisses or ghost winks or something.
Yeah, it was something like that. Oh, I can't. I wish it was one or the other. I can't confidently say which one, but it was a cute little nickname that she had for it, because I think we've all kind of also experienced that.
Yeah, well, because the payoff at the end when like there was a recurring cat, and then like when he looks at the name tag, it is tater tots, and then we find out. Well, we have found out that like one of her favorite snacks was the tater tots. Is it like? Which, God, I mean, this movie, the way it works, like, in terms of breaking, like, that sentimental scene with, like, a nice joke, which was, you know, as he's telling the story about, like, oh, my God, my wife, she used to go jogging, but she'd get, like, fried chicken and, like, tater tots and stuff, or ice cream, and, like, Danny DeVito breaks that, like, sentimental moment, right? Because we're all feeling it, but, like, he breaks it with a joke of just, like, God, what was her cholesterol like? Like, it's so
exactly.
high. Like,
yeah.
But she loved tater tots, and then, like, he finds out at the end, like, this cat that kept, like, visiting him, the cat's name was Tater Tot, and I thought that was like, oh, that's like that was sweet. That was like a nice little
final little last
moment.
Touch to his story, which also, that was one of the moments where the kids were like, that was insensitive. And I was like, no, that was needed. Jokes to break the tension.
Oh, the cholesterol joke?
Yeah, the cholesterol joke, yeah.
It needed...
a ghost wink.
A ghost wink. Thank you. It was... Yes, I could see why it would be deemed insensitive, but like I also do think it was needed levity, because like at the end of this supposed to be like a fun, jaunty film, like, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm glad it was able to. I thought it was a good balance, in my opinion. Like to give me the sentiment, and then like to give me like a nice like joke, which is interesting. A lot of critics just felt that this movie wasn't funny enough or too scary, right? And it's just like they kind of felt it was lacking. And like, I'm just like, I don't know. Like we may have not been watching the same movie, because I thought the comedy was just right in terms of the scares. Sometimes they were a little like not. I wouldn't say scary, but like you the jump scares, you'd be like, oh, woo, like a fun little like tingle.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I agree with that. And I also think like, well, what are they expecting? Like, I don't know. Like I don't think a lot of people have high hopes for this film, which is probably also why they're not going out to see it.
Yeah.
But like, it was for me a pleasant surprise and stuff. And I think that if people kind of just gave it a chance, you know, and kind of surrendered to it with no expectations, that's when they would probably enjoy themselves more, if they're not too jaded. So I mean, this film is like kind of harmless. Like I don't see why people would have too many problems with it. I think it was very well done.
Do you think it would have done better if it was the focus was a white family?
Ooh,
because both of these films feature black families at like the center.
Yeah, I know, right? Isn't that crazy? But great, I love that. I don't think so. I mean, I don't think so.
Okay. I was just wondering. If, I'm trying to make sense of like why are people not watching this movie?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe had it had a bigger star, or maybe one more white character. Because to be honest, there's only 2 to the 6.
So everyone loves Danny DeVito.
I know.
Who was the other?
Owen Wilson.
Jamie Lee. Oh, Owen.
Yeah, well,
Jamie Lee Curtis also.
Yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis. And then I guess Jared Leto. So if you make it an 8 cast, that's directly even and stuff. Yeah. So,
but like their roles are way less important than obviously like than Ben and Gabby and Travis. Like they, even to a degree, Harriet like carried a lot of because she carried a lot of the comedy of the film.
Yeah. I mean, I would hope that's not the reason, because it also doesn't feel like, hey, this film is trying really, really hard to be diversively inclusive. It's not. This is an organic fucking story.
Yeah. At no point did I feel like they were going out of their way to bring in diversity. It really just felt like just very organically told, like how these characters, like the characters, they felt I've said this before. Like, they felt just realized and stuff, and maybe this is a credit to Justin Simien, the director. He really understood that, like we don't need stock characters. We just need to give characters like a storyline to that we can like connect to. And Ben's storyline of like, love loss is something that I think a lot of people can like relate to.
Absolutely. And that also complements this story about ghosts in the afterlife very well. And moving on, all of these ghosts are stuck there. One, because they were called in a seance, but because they don't know how to move on. Mm-hmm. So, and in the end, they actually don't. They want to stay and they want to party.
Right. Which, if I were Gabby, now I would definitely open up the bed and breakfast.
Seriously.
Because now you'd
profitable.
be making, like everyone would want to go to stay in a house with ghosts. But I did love that ending when like, all this mishmash cast of characters are all friends and like having a dinner for Halloween. Yeah, I thought it was so cute. Like I was really, I liked it a lot.
It did have that found family feel.
Yeah,
absolutely.
To it.
Yeah, it did. I mean, overall, I recommend it, guys. It's a cute movie. We're all kind of surprised by our review of it today. Yeah, but it's a surprising movie. I would watch it again on Disney Plus in October.
I actually agree. I think this one is a much better film than the 2003 Eddie Murphy film because
absolutely.
I feel like the Eddie Murphy one just felt a little generic. Like, you know, it's about a workaholic dad and he's trying to save his wife and he's going through all these trials and tribulations. This one, the story is a little simpler. They're just stuck in this house, but like, and there's a ghost that's trying to actively kill them, and they're just trying to unfold that I don't know. But it just worked. And
it doesn't feel so, like, tied to the original source material, which is the ride, like the original did. Mm-hmm. Where it would just throw in elements that were kind of like, oh, yeah, the ride. Like, this actually, if you've never been on the ride before, you wouldn't be able to tell that there was, like, that it is kind of tied to a previous property. Like, it feels like its own story.
Okay. Yes. Except for maybe the headless, the ghost lady. The Ghost Bride?
The Ghost Bride, yeah.
That scene might be the only one I would say, like, feels like they had to throw it in because, like, she is one of the ghosts that we see at the...
Maybe. But again, if you've never ridden the ride before, though, would you be like, that's somebody that I don't know and I don't recognize, but everyone else here does? You think that people who haven't been on the ride would think that?
I would say no. Yeah, for sure. I agree with you on that.
Yeah. And Madame Leota.
No. And Madame Leota might be the only one. But no, overall, I was, just pleasantly surprised by the film. I thought it was just like, oh, this was a nice film. I'm sad it's not doing as well in the box office as I think it should.
And that's all Disney's fault.
Yeah.
Truly.
They haven't been, I also don't think they've been marketing it very well.
Well, maybe their game plan, though, is that maybe they get more traction on Disney Plus, so they'll release it in July, because they know not a lot of people are going to go to the theaters, because people haven't been going to the theaters. They'll put it on in October on Disney Plus, and then they'll get all of that traction then.
Interesting. Maybe. I don't know. Bob Iger seems to be a steady, fast moving towards theatrical over Disney Plus.
Yeah.
He's not shuttering Disney Plus anytime soon, but like he is... They're going to be developing less content specifically for Disney Plus.
Well, that's good because it was a lot.
Bleeding, yeah. And it's also just bleeding money for Disney Corporation.
Yeah,
so.
Smart.
But speaking of Disney, so I actually wanted to bring up this point to you because you love Disney World. And I brought this up with Eddie when we were leaving the theater. But have you noticed a lot of the new rides in Disney World are based off of like a movie or movies mostly? Have you noticed that? Like all the new Disney rides are like all connected to some sort of movie franchise, right? As opposed to when Disney opened, like Jungle Cruise, Pirates of the Caribbean, Space Mountain, the Haunted Mansion. They were all like original set pieces created for the Disney parks.
Yes.
Do you think that is something that's going to hurt Disney World in the long run?
The fact that now
they're all connected to like contemporary, like movies that might be popular now.
I think, yes, absolutely it will.
Right? Like, because, like, I mean, I love Guardians of the Galaxy. I haven't gone to the ride yet, but I can't imagine, like, 10 years from now, people will care it's a Guardians of the Galaxy ride.
Well, but then again, people still have, like, their ties. Like, they feel very passionately and very emotionally tied with a lot of things. Like, people don't want the Twilight Zone ride to change.
Well, but that's the thing. Yes, it's tied to the Twilight Zone, but it's the Tower of Terror.
Yes, but they also like the Twilight Zone ride aspect of it, that you're like entering an episode and, you know, Rod Serling's like you're in a world and all that stuff.
That, like, I every time I get on it, I always forget that it's related to the Twilight Zone until the opening. And then I'm just like, oh, that's right, this is a Twilight Zone thing.
Yeah.
I'm more excited about the fact that, like, wow, we're on the Tower of Terror.
Well, kind of look at their counterpart or their competition with Universal. I mean, look at how many things have closed of properties that people don't care about anymore. Like Hanna-Barbera and Jimmy Neutron. And, I mean, I think the Mummy's still open, but, like, King Kong...
No, I think it just closed.
It just closed.
Yeah.
There you go. And then they replace it with, like, Fast and the Furious and newer properties that people like now. But, like, once those movies are done, you think anyone's going to give a shit about the Fast and the Furious?
Well... Yeah, they got to pick movies that have stood, or properties that have stood the test of time. So the Velocicoaster, for example, Universal Studios, is a good example where it's just like, sure, like it could be Jurassic World, but it could be Jurassic Park, and that movie has stood the test of time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then there is, what else? This is a good example. But yeah, the King Kong one, they changed it to Skull Island, and it was a fine ride. I'm not a big fan of like those simulation rides.
Yeah, you like the coasters.
And, like, I like coasters. Give me a coaster or give me...
I'm a simulation guy.
I like simulations too, because it's like, wow, entering, you know, my dream world, fantasies, things that I didn't know I could like. It's cool. It's cute. It's impressive.
Who's gonna make the Barbie ride?
Ooh, good question. That's Warner Brothers. Does Warner Brothers own theme park?
They used to own Six Flags. They no longer do.
Oh, they need
they used to have a majority stake at Six Flags. I think they license their characters and stuff for Six Flags still, but they don't own Six
Interesting.
Flags.
Well, Universal was the one that said bring Nintendo World to us, so maybe they'll add a Mattel World.
Hey, you know, I'm sure.
I laugh
ride.
now,
yeah, you could
but
do a Hot Wheel ride.
Yeah.
You could do walking Polly Pocket World.
Mm-hmm. Or they could partner with like Legoland.
Yeah. I feel like Legoland's a competitor.
Lego.
I think Lego.
Oh, just Lego. There you go. There you go. But good point. And they're running out of rides to kind of like turn into, you know, media properties. So what are they going to do now? You know, now they got to do original films. Do you think Wish is going to be successful?
Oh, I hope so. I think the animation for that film, when I saw the trailer, it looked spectacular. It's like a blend of 2D and 3D animation.
Yeah,
and I think it looks
so different.
Really, really pretty, and like kind of interested in checking out. Was that Patrick Stewart who's the voice of the goat, or am I making that up?
Oh, I didn't register it as Patrick Stewart, but it could be.
It sounded very Patrick Stewart-ish.
Yeah, it did. But, you know, Elemental, the Pixar film, did not do very well this year. So, I don't know. Disney's just also kind of, like, not hitting the way that they had in previous years. Do you think the Marvels will do well?
I don't know.
either.
I want to see it. I actually want to see that one more so than I wanted to see Ant-Man. I still yet to see Ant-Man.
See, there you go. You haven't even gone out for it.
I'm more so interested in watching the Marvels. It looks cute.
It does look cute. I admit that movie looks cute.
So that's why I kind of want to check it out. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm kind of like, Marvel is definitely in some turbulent water at the moment, I think, overall. Like, I mean, has anyone even been talking about a Secret Invasion?
Not on my radar. It's not. It's usually like, oh my god, everybody's talking about it, or I don't really know about it. And most Marvel, everyone's talking about. So.
Yeah, and that has even Olivia Colman, you know.
And I love her, and it can't. Nope.
Yeah, so.
I'm excited to see where the rest of this year goes in terms of the media properties that stick out and the ones that disappoint or whatever. Like, you know, we're entering a new era in moviegoing, I think.
Oh, I think so. I mean, if you look at this year alone, like, we've been pleasantly surprised, like, more so than, like, absolute. There've been more hits than misses, I think, this year.
Yes. At least with the content, not the financial status of them. We can't really speak to that.
Right.
So, yeah. But, all right, guys, did you see Haunted Mansion? Will you be seeing Haunted Mansion? You probably should. And once you do, you should let us know your thoughts on the piece and on our episode. You could email us, remakesrebootsrevivals@gmail.com. Hit us up on Instagram at Remakes Reboots Revivals. On Twitter at Remakes Podcast. You can find us on Facebook and YouTube by searching Remakes, Reboots, and Revivals. And if you're listening on a podcasting platform, type in Remakes, Reboots, Revivals and give us a rating. And if you can, leave us a review. We might just read it on the air. And a reminder, August 16th, Corgi Distillery in Jersey City, we will be hosting a trivia night co-sponsored by Hudson County Pride, and it is completely free, and it's going to be a fun night of trivia, and you get to see us in person, and you get to drink delicious gin drinks, so you should come out.
Yeah.
And
that is it, I guess. So
yeah, I guess until next time.
In like maybe 2 years, we'll see Haunted Mansion again.
Yeah, maybe then they'll try it with like a white family and see if it works. Yeah. All right, guys.
Well, until next time,
stay unoriginal.